Welcome, everyone. Today, I am here with some pretty incredible tutors, and we are talking about really the benefits of working with a business coach. Now, I'm not saying that a business coach has to be me or anything, just what are the benefits and the values that people have had from being able to work with a coach? And inside of our tutoring business, there are so many different aspects that we have to take into consideration that maybe we don't feel as comfortable with or know a lot about. Well, today, you're going to find out what are some of those benefits of being able to work with a coach? And not just from my perspective, because I've worked with several coaches who have helped me guide me in my business and where I want to go. But I want to share with you guys other people's perspectives as well. So stay tuned. Welcome back, you guys. So glad that you are here. And I have some of my favorite people here with me today. Oh my gosh, I love when I get to see familiar faces and get to catch up and all that awesome stuff. So I have one more person I am letting on in. And we're going to start off with each of these tutors sharing what has inspired them to become a tutor and how has their business evolved over time. So, Kathy, we're going to start with you, my friend. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and how you became a tutor and how your business evolved over time.
Okay, well, my name is Kathy Cousino, and I became a tutor because I fell at school. I was in a school district for 23 years, and when came time to go back, I just couldn't go back to the negativity and just all that. And there was no matter what, I was going to find a way to make it work. And this was pre-COVID. So, and then I tracked down Joanne, actually hunted her down, watched all of her videos and got into working with her. And I also became one of her coaches. So, and then my business has evolved by, so I ended up being fully booked. And then I couldn't figure out how to make more money or to do anything like that. So it ended up, I don't know, it was probably Joanne that I was talking to. And then I think it was because you had Sean come on about
Mhm.
starting a tutoring agency. So I now have a tutoring agency, and we specialize teaching students that have dyslexia. And I have 27 tutors that work for me. So it's like exploded. So
That's
that's where
so
I've come from.
awesome. Wow. That is amazing. From not knowing if you really could make this a
I was
sustainable
petrified.
business to having 27 tutors underneath you. Wow. That is absolutely incredible. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing. Suzanne, share a little bit about who you are.
Hi, I'm Suzanne. I'm an academic writing coach. I've been tutoring. Well, I think I launched my business in like the end of 2016, maybe 2017. So I've been at this a long time. I started off because I had been ill, and I really I love teaching writing and ESL, and I wanted to make a difference, but I also wanted something that I could balance with my medical condition. So I learned about online tutoring. Similarly to Kathy, I found Joanne pretty early on. I started with her book, and then I started following her on YouTube and watching some of those really early videos. And I knew that I wanted to work with her. But through the years, let's see, I started off with just tutoring academic writing, and now I also tutor people with graduate personal statements, college personal statements, scholarship essays. So I've kind of added an additional service to my
Yeah,
business.
yeah. And you're also a coach with the online tutor coach too, and help new
Oh,
tutors.
yes. Yes, and tutor bloggers, yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, which is amazing. You've really like grown in lots of different areas so that you can bring in income from multiple streams and not just, one stream of income, which is fantastic. Which, by the way, you guys are going to have to stay tuned because soon we're going to have a conference all about what are more ways that you can make money as an online tutor. Oh, and it's 50 ways, 50 different ways that you can make more money as an online tutor. You guys, this is going to be unbelievable. I so stay tuned. I'm just kind of throwing some little nuggets out there for you guys right now, but really awesome stuff. We've got Cheryl in the house. Cheryl Euling, welcome, my friend. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how has your tutoring business evolved?
Well, I specialize, and you can hear me okay, right? We're good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I specialize in 2nd through 5th grade math. I work with children pre-K through 6th, but my niche is 2nd through 5th grade math. I still have people who ask me to work with their children in reading and writing, and I do, but I usually start with math. This journey started for me when the pandemic hit. My younger sister has younger children. They live in Colorado. I'm in Nebraska. She reached out to me and said, I need help. So I figured out how to work with Zoom. I hadn't done that before at that point, and mentored them for a little bit during the pandemic. Realized that I really liked it. I was currently at that point, I was still in the classroom as a 5th grade teacher. I was nearing the end of my 32-year career, and worked for 2 more years in the classroom and for a major company. And just last spring retired. It'll be a year out of the classroom in May. And in June of this year, I kind of launched my business. I had 1 student at the time, and now I have 10. So I am super excited about that. And I really got started by I found you, Joanne. I just started to Google. I ran across all of your YouTube videos. I bought your book. Just totally followed all of your directions. Set up my website. Went to your second impact when you had your second impact. Followed all of that. I was in the classroom, so I was only getting little nuggets of information. I think the last time that you had it, and this summer or this last one, Impact 3, I watched, was able to attend all of it. But by following people like you, and I have some other people outside of you that I've worked with, my business has evolved. And it's become a business, not just I think I can do this. And now it really is a business. So I really want to thank you again. I know we've had this conversation before, but without your valuable information, this would not have happened. So I appreciate it. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's awesome. That's so exciting. And I like, as soon as you started sharing your story, I was like, oh, you remind me of Sal Khan of Khan Academy because, he started with his family too when he started doing this and he realized how much he really liked
Mhm.
it. And
Yeah.
then that things started to grow from there. And now look at you. You've gone from, and a lot of people do kind of start it off as a hobby, like, well, yeah, I could help these couple kids here or there. And they're like, wait a minute, I could actually turn this into my business. So
Yeah.
congratulations. It's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Like, are you like for me, like I was shocked at the point that I could make more money tutoring than I could in the classroom. And I'm seeing lots of head nods now. Yes. Are you guys all seeing that as well with your own business? Oh my God, the private
Yes.
sector
Yes.
rocks. It really does. You have the private sector, you make more money, and you don't have to deal with any of the hassles. I mean, like, who doesn't want to sign me up for that? I love it. And we've got Sharon Kennedy here. Welcome, Sharon. So glad you are
Hi.
here. Tell
Sorry for
everybody
blinking in and blinking out. I was having
that's
some
okay.
technical problems.
Well, glad you were able to
Um,
blink back in. We're just
yeah.
talking about right now how you became a tutor and how your business has evolved over time.
So I also started in 2020. I was in the classroom and working at a small Christian school, and somebody on my school board decided he knew how to run my classroom better than me and ended my contract. And so I'm looking for a teaching job in spring of 2020. It's like, finally just said, back it all. I figured I would either substitute or do some tutoring or whatever. I also moved in the summer of 2020 and started tutoring for Tutor Doctor, which is a gal who runs a tutoring company. It's a franchise situation. And so I was working for her for $20 an hour. did that for about 2 weeks and said, what the heck? I was just like, I had done some tutoring like 25 years ago when my children were small, and I was making $25 an hour. And it's like 25 years of experience, and I got a $5 decrease in my pay. So I realized I shouldn't have signed that contract. But fortunately, it didn't have a compete clause. And so I started finding clients of my own and just kind of organically grew my business to the point now where I am making well over twice what I was making in the classroom.
Aw,
And
and you
it's
also have
only going to
hired
go up
on
from there.
you've also started
I'm
hiring
in the
some other
process.
tutors as well. Yeah.
I'm in the process. I have two of my children working for me right now, and then two of my adult children. And then I have two people that I'm working with that will be working for me soon as I have clients for them. And I'm going through the process of the leadership course where I, set up my training manual and all that stuff. So that's been an awesome process. And yeah, so
Aw,
um, I don't know. It kind
amazing.
of just ended up being one of those things where, like Joseph in the Bible, where he said to his brothers, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. It's like, okay, this
Yes.
guy wanted me out of the classroom. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh no, what am I going to do? And it ended up being such a blessing to
Yeah,
move
it really
into.
is. A lot of us kind
I'm
of have that
home.
feeling when we're leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Kathy, you felt it too with the back accident, right? It was like that was like probably the worst thing you've ever had to kind of go through, and then all the lawsuits and all that kind of stuff with the school system, and just a mess. And
Yeah, there
and
was
as you're
no way I was going back.
no,
No
no,
way.
and I
I
think
was going
that's
to make it work no matter what.
yeah, I love it. And that's kind of when I tell people when they're like, "Well, what makes somebody be successful in the beginning?" I say a drive. Like you need to have a drive. You have to have a why. You have to know why you want to do this. Like if you're going to go into this and you just think that your students are just going to come easily to you, they're all just going to find you and everything's going to be roses, you probably don't have the grit right now to be able to do it. You have to have a strong why to make this work. And for
Yeah.
me, it was my kids. I was going in and out of the classroom. I was actually going in and out of the hospital because of an illness. I ended up getting that was never diagnosed. And I think it was because of the stressful anxiety that I was feeling from the classroom. And a lot of people aren't talking about the anxiety that we feel from the classroom. Honestly, all of that stuff combined ended up pushing me out of the school system. And when we're going through those kinds of things, we're just thinking, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And and then we start thinking, what if? What if I could do this? Like, could that work? Would that work? And then amazing things happen. What are some of the common challenges that you guys have faced in your tutoring business, and how did you overcome them?
I can
Yeah, go
address
for it,
that.
Cheryl.
I think Sharon, you were working for somebody else, and I also was working for a major company and then left at the end of my teaching career. So I was teaching and then doing nightly work, and I was getting $15 an hour. So see, with
I did okay then.
with 2 degrees, So I
Yeah.
thought, what am I doing this for? And when I kind of jumped off the ledge is what I call it, like I'm just going to take the deep dive. I really didn't know how this was going to work. I thought, the people in my community know me, they trust me, but I don't think that they're looking at me as a tutor. They're looking at me as a retired teacher. So I really had to figure out how to go about this process. Like, how does this work? How am I going to make this work for me so that I can get going? So, Joanne, you did some sort of a YouTube with Esme Lozano.
Mm-hmm.
She said that she was going to start doing clubhouses. I followed her. She invited me to her talk. And then I got training through her. So I hired her as a coach, and she helped me kind of learn the basics of social media. I'm still not very good at it, but I just throw stuff out there. But I'm not throwing junk out there. I have a plan. And thank you, Joanne, because at your last impact, your experts were talking about having a social media plan. This sits on my desk. This is my social media plan for every month, for every single thing that I am doing. I have a topic and a centered focus for that month. And that is what is driving my business and bringing clients to me. That would not have happened had I not followed you and not gotten training from Esme. So, and I just really want to thank you because, again, we are good teachers. We
Yes.
know our craft.
Yes.
We know how to teach students. We're not, I wasn't trained as a business person. My husband is a
Right.
farmer.
Yeah.
He knows how to farm. He can tell me, that my twin sister is a realtor. She can tell me, how to take a risk and how to market myself. My daughter's a marketing agent. She can help me with that. But I needed it to fit what I needed. And I was able to
Yeah.
do that because of your training. So that is how I have overcome, how am I getting students? And it is working.
Yeah.
It's slow. But I don't want to be the fast guy out of the gate. I want to be the Kathy and the Sharon who are hiring the next tutor. But until I have my own individual things ironed out, and I feel like I do, until you don't want to be. I think you said this, Joanne. Maybe you said this. You don't want to be the hare. You want to be the tortoise. Somebody said that. You want to slow down and take it slow enough that you can handle it. And you can be successful. And ironically, I'm
Yeah.
wearing green today, so I'm the tortoise.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
it's about being consistent. So
Mhm.
consistency is more important than let me do everything as quick as I can and then let me give up because I just got overwhelmed.
Right. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also about using your tools.
Mhm.
That's one of the things. I mean, the tortoise, the turtle is actually my business logo. And because I'm always telling my students, slow down and use your tools. Think about what you know. How can you apply the things you know in this situation? And so that's exactly what I'm doing with my business. It's like, what do I know? I ran a business 30 years ago when my girls were little. I had a home daycare, and I would take my paperwork to my tax lady, and she would say, how are you making so much money? All the other daycare people, because she did taxes for a lot of daycare people. And I was making nearly twice what everybody else was making. And it's like, so I had a little bit of business knowledge, but I had to tweak it and change it and make it fit. And technology has just exploded in the last 30 years. And so that was one of the things I wrote down as I was thinking about these questions, is like learning all the things. That was one of my challenges. Like Zoom and Koala and Tutorbird and Calendly and Wix and Canva. And it's kind of can be really overwhelming. And I think that the classes, I did a situation with another coach last year and learned a lot from her, but there was a lot of things that she didn't feel I needed that I felt I did. And so that's why I kind of got involved with you, Joanne, because you were going to plug those holes that she didn't fill. And so like developing my website more and things like that. But it's learning all the things. That's been the
Yeah.
challenge for me.
Yeah.
And then of course the one we all do, which is starting out with undervaluing what you have to offer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you've got to learn to value what you're offering people and be willing to stand there and say, this is how much I charge because this is how much I'm worth and this is why. And sometimes you have to educate them and help them understand why it's worth that
Yeah.
much, but
Yeah.
it's an investment that they're
Yeah.
making in their child.
Yeah.
So.
I just raised my rates. And it floors me every time I do it. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Like, I know I teach it, you guys, but like I also apply it. And when I apply it,
I think
I shock myself too.
the biggest aha moment for me was the client where I did the whole, sales call and everything. And then at the very end, I realized she had never once asked me how much I was. I had to ask her, do you want to know how much I cost? She's like, I don't care. You're an answer to my prayers. Okay. I could probably tell her any number I want right now.
Yeah. I mean, when you set that up right, I mean, I have lots of conversations where I don't even talk to people about how much it costs. Like, it's part of the process. They'll know. I send them like how payment works and how I do that. I send them after I do my report, so they definitely know and they have time to say no, that this doesn't work for me. But they never do. They always end up moving forward. Once they've said yes, the cost is not the number one thing. So when people say, oh, but people don't want to pay what it is that I charge, it usually isn't a pricing problem. It's a client understanding your value problem. And a lot of people don't understand the difference. And so then they start charging less and less and less. And then they think, oh, I can't really even do this. And
Well, and
I
you
don't
end
want to
up with
see people
icky
do that.
clients too.
Yeah, no. There's so many great clients out there for all of us to have that, no need to waste your time with people that are going to be like that with you. Um, Any other challenges that you guys have had in your business and how you overcame them?
For me, it was content marketing and like being able to have people find me on the web, right? Because you can do the best website that you want and crickets. So you have to have some kind of plan for how are you going to draw them. And so I learned really early on from you, Joanne, about putting out good content, like high value content that's going to draw people to your website. And that was a challenge in two ways. One was actually thinking of the content, which is where, like Cheryl, I had to come up with a plan, like what are you covering this month, and how are you going to produce that content? And then the other part of that, the other piece really is that taking yourself and putting yourself out there. And that was a huge piece, like that mental piece was huge for me in the beginning. I got over it pretty quickly, and I've been working with Joanne almost since the very beginning, which helped me kind of I launched myself out there before I was even mentally ready to do it. And just kind of was able to take that step. And I have to credit you with a lot of that.
Yeah, and it just floors me. We're still working together. Like you guys, like
I know.
Suzanne and I are working together right after we're done with this YouTube live. Like we still have our sessions together and connect, and we're constantly brainstorming and thinking about what can we do next and all of that. So it's so much fun just to see like everywhere that all the different places where people go and some of the struggles. But a lot of us do struggle in the beginning putting ourselves out there. We've been trained early on to be scared to put any information on the internet. And then you guys find this weirdo named Joanne Kavinsky, who's like, you want to be found absolutely everywhere on the internet. And like it goes against everything you guys have that you've ever been taught. And you're like, wait a minute, what? Now, I'm not saying put your social security on the internet, right? But create content, let people know that you exist. Because our biggest problem in our business isn't that we're not good at what we do. The biggest problem is that not enough people know that we exist to help them with the problems that they have. And when we can get the word out there and the more information they find out about us online, the more they trust us. Right. And so we get to tell the narrative online. We get to share what is that narrative? What is that story? We aren't the Kardashians. So we don't have all that bad publicity that's out there, right? We get to share that narrative and what do we want people to learn about us as they get to learn that. I remember you came in through learning about how to create your online presence and use SEO keywords and all of that and you still use all of that knowledge that you've learned like on a daily basis with your business.
Yeah,
I remember one thing. You ended up also creating a blog post that became required reading, you guys, for college kids. Okay, now her ideal
yeah.
clients college kids. And she had professors who were then saying, you need to read this tutor's blog on this topic. What was the topic on?
It was on pre-writing
Pre-writing.
activities. Yeah. And then I've had other ones that are part of college, right? Writing
Isn't that
classes,
insane,
like
you
that
guys?
beginning writing class. Yeah. And
Right.
I've had students come to me asking me like if they can cite my blog posts and use them. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I never foresaw that.
Yeah.
Because I taught at the college level and I was like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
isn't it funny that I'm
Full
creating
circle.
stuff that other people like me are using.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think this is so cool because I remember when we were in Cape Coral, we did a retreat. It was my very first retreat that I did, and you said that you wanted to be a published author. You wanted to be a well-known author. And who knew that that would be happening with just your blog?
I know. Yeah.
That's so
It's
incredible.
wild.
That's wild. I had somebody who asked me the question the other day, like, do people still blog? I'm like, do you read the internet? Like, half the stuff, like, have you ever done a search on the internet? Like, that's all blogs. Like, yeah, people still blog.
Yeah. It's actually the 5th most trusted source by people blogging,
Yeah.
which
Wow.
I think is wild. So yeah, if you do it well, yeah, you can have professors and other teachers
Yeah.
sharing your stuff with their students.
Suzanne, I just want to thank you because I had seen your little discussion. I think Joanne and you did a YouTube on blogging and SEO, and that's where I wrapped my head around that. Like, oh, I can't just put this information in here. I have to think about keywords. And then my focus, my monthly focus, whatever that happens to be, and use those words in my blog. And then I also add them as tags just in case somebody's just, doing a keyword search or whatever. But I learned that from you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad it's helping you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And it does make a huge thing. So let's move on to, how has business coaching helped you improve and grow your tutoring business? Because I think this is a big need of it. A lot of us, we start off and we want to go solo, right? DIY. And then we realize, but I don't know about this. So now what do I do? Right. And that's when you start thinking about, okay, now it's time to bring in a coach. Because yes, I could do this by myself. I could do this by myself. Maybe I'm getting some clients on my own, but how does business coaching help with growing your tutoring business?
Well, that was the biggest thing, is I learned all of this information in fast forward. And because I watched every video you had, I was in Jumpstart and all that stuff. The issue was, okay, I got all this information. Now let's narrow it down. And because I was all over the place, and working with you pulled it back and made me focus on one track instead of trying to do 20 things. I was trying to do like the 3 or 4 things that I needed to focus on.
Yeah.
So that really helped with it.
Yeah, I think that can happen to a lot of us with the getting distracted syndrome, like getting so much. We are in the information age, aren't we? Like, information can come at us at such warping speeds that we don't know what to do with it. We're like, oh, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, now how do I sort through all this information to really put all of these pieces in place to accomplish what I want to accomplish? And it does start with
Because
knowing what those goals are.
I went to
Yeah.
school to teach, not for business. So
Yeah.
I really didn't know what way to go. I just know I had all of this, and I'm like, I don't know, which do I do first?
Yeah. Yeah.
It helps you know what you didn't know that you didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that phrase, right?
I
You
was
don't
in
know
a
what you don't
teaching
know.
situation.
Yeah.
Don't know what you don't know. I was in a teaching situation where I got hired on as an interim, and they kind of just threw me in the classroom, and I didn't even know to ask the questions. Like, is there an assembly this week? And everybody just assumed I would know there was an assembly. It's like, no, I didn't know that. And I didn't even know to ask. And that's
Right.
kind of what this is. It's like it
Yes.
provides you with that mentor and that person who's been down the road before you and can tell you, oh, there's this speed bump coming, or you need to make sure and do this. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Mhm.
All of that great stuff. Like blogging, that's my big aha moment in the last week with Chat GPT and using it to help you write your blogs, and just like, wow, and I never would have even thought about that. I heard the NPR stories 2-3 weeks ago about Chat GPT and how it's such a big thing, and education isn't sure what to do with it. And I'm thinking, okay, how did that apply to me? That's all about writing. And I do math, but it's a big piece of what I can do. And I never would have found that if I wasn't working with you, Joanne.
I love being able to stay on top of technology. I geek out over it. Like, literally, like, something new comes out. I'm like, okay, how can tutors use that? Or is that something we should all ignore? Right? And if it's something that we should be using, and I'm hearing about it, and I started hearing about ChatGPT back in, I want to say, the beginning of November, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, there's this tool called Jasper that can, like, write your blog posts." I was anti this tool, like, for a really long time, because I was like, well, there's no way that it can write the kind of content that we need it to write, and you're going to want to be the
Not as
person
good
who's
as
writing the
me.
content. And yeah, and then ChatGPT came on out, and I started playing with it. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what if I did this, and what if I did that? And oh my gosh, this is game changing. This is huge. This is amazing. So
It's almost
yeah,
it's almost like working with a mentor almost like doubles or triples your potential because you've
yeah.
got we can all draw on your geeking out about technology because we can be like, okay, if there's something new coming out, Joanne's going to look at it, she's going to see if it's good and if it's useful, and she'll let us know.
Totally, 100%, 100%. And if it's not, then you're not going to hear much about it from me. I'll be like completely honest with people about it. Like, hey, you know what? I just don't think this is where it needs to be at this point, or is going to be helpful for us, or um,
Yeah.
yeah,
The other piece that I wrote down on this was motivation, because a lot of times, like Cheryl said, you have this like list of things you need to do, but you've got to pick out like the 2 or 3 and focus on those and focus on getting those done. And being in the class has really helped with that. I was like, okay, this week we're going to focus on this and we're going to work on this and put tabs in your website. Oh, okay, I can do that this week, and it just helps you kind of break down that big list of everything you
yes.
need to do and focus on the task in front of you and how to get that done, and
Hmm.
motivation and breaking it down. Those are
Yeah.
big.
Too, even being able to spot some of the negative thoughts that cross our mind. We don't even know that they're happening when they're
Mm.
happening. And to have somebody be like, Have you thought about it this way? Or how could we change that? Or what would be the opposite? Could the opposite be true? And really guiding our thought process, because your thoughts is where everything starts. And if we don't have those right, if we don't have right thinking about our business, then everything falls. It's like the foundation has a huge crack in it, and you're building on faulty ground, and you've got to have that strong mindset for building a business, because it's not like being an employee whatsoever at all. You're probably going to start working double the amount of hours than you worked as an employee. So if you think you're going to be working a
Not
lot
me,
less
but
and you're going to have all of that, I mean, a lot of people are not going to be right out of the gate working less hours right out of the gate. That's something you have to work up to.
I was just working really long hours as a teacher because I was in a
Yeah.
one-room classroom with 6th grades, and I was the teaching principal. So I was working 70 and 80 hours a week.
Oh my
So
gosh.
tutoring has been a breath of fresh air
Oh, very
because I can
nice.
decide. I get to decide when and how and where I
Yes.
work. I mean, even like
Yes.
last fall, my stepmom was failing. So I was in Yakima helping my sister with my mom, and I brought my tutoring stuff, and the plan was to tutor from there. It didn't end up happening because she passed sooner than we expected her to, but
Mm.
I was able to take my business with me and do it from there if I needed to. So
Yeah.
that was powerful.
It is really powerful. It is really powerful that you can teach anywhere in the world to anyone around the world that you want to work with. It's so, so, so fun. How else has business
I love
coaching helped
teaching
you guys?
homeschoolers on the East Coast
Yes.
because then I can get done tutoring by 3 o'clock every afternoon and spend the rest of the day with my grandkids.
Oh, I love that. I actually work with some kids in California before school. And I
Yeah,
like
I've
that
got a
as
couple of
well, because
those
it's like
too.
I get to wake up a little bit, well, I don't wake up later, but I mean, I don't start with them until like 8:30, but it's 6:30 their time right before school. And, my whole family's out the door ready for the day, so it doesn't interrupt our flow to be able to do that. So sometimes we don't even think
Yeah.
about like those kinds of like options of where in our schedule can we work with students that we couldn't traditionally do if we were seeing them in person too. Um, I
Mhm.
think I think that's the benefit of working with somebody who is a tutor business, like someone who is a tutor who's a business coach. There are lots of benefits of working with people who are not a tutor, who are a business coach in certain areas. You guys are going to get to hear on Monday. I am talking with an incredible lady who used to work for like Macy's and some really big companies. She was in Silicon Valley as a growth designer, and now she helps solopreneurs like us that and how do you get these quick wins? How do you get more referrals from, the clients that you have? And how she actually teaches people like how to do their business without using social media at all. And I was like, "Ooh, now it's a beautiful, enticing thing." So you guys are gonna have to wait and hear her chat that I had with her on Monday. But I mean, people like that too. There's just there's all different types of mentors and coaches that we can work with that can help us get to that next level that we want to get to. So I personally am hiring her so she can look at my numbers and be like, okay, here's how I can make them bigger. What can I do? Like if I were to focus on 3 things based on what you're thinking, what could I do better? And again, it's like I've worked with Mary Cawthon, with when it comes to copywriting because of I just really respected her and I knew she'd be able to help me with some of the things that I kind of was lacking in my own knowledge and design, and it's brought my copy online just to a whole nother world of so there's benefits of working with somebody who is a tutor as a coach. It's not like you have to work with the same coach for your whole life, right? I mean, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. There's lots of great coaches that are out there that can guide you in that next thing that you need to learn. What are your thoughts that you guys have about how it improves your own business?
Joanne, I was just going to mention again back to Esme and her help with my focus on my social media, but something that maybe is also I think really helping me is my networking with other professional tutors and inviting them on my podcast
Mhm.
and just the networking working that I'm doing and finding similarities, things that we're doing alike, and then learning from each other that way. So I've enjoyed that. I've had I've had 2 on. I've got a third one lined up, and it's just interesting to see the different approaches. We're all kind of the same, we have the same goal. We want to help kids grow in their learning journey. But as I learn from other people, the things that they're using, like maybe their software programs or how do they schedule or
Mhm.
look at their social media or look at their websites. I take those little bits and I go, oh, I like that, or I don't like that, or ooh, I hadn't thought about it this way. So just being able to get out there and take the risk of talking to somebody maybe I don't know,
Yeah.
and learning from them. I appreciate that very much.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love on my podcast this year, I've got a whole different focus where I'm bringing in people who are, um, having great conversations just like this, like these conversations are going onto my podcast and conversations with other professionals that are specific who hone in just on one little area, right? Like Mary Cawthon is email marketing, and we have, like Lex, who I just interviewed, who is just on growth design and how do you design your business so you can really focus on that offboarding and your current clients to be able to get your next clients. And yeah, just amazing stuff, you guys. It's really amazing. There's so many opportunities to learn. If you're going to try to DIY it and not try to get the help from other people, it is going to take you 10 times longer to figure everything else out because you're going to have to make all the same mistakes that they made at some point in time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of the things, though, that I found really useful working with somebody in the tutoring sphere like you, is that you have a really good way of getting me on track to who it is my ideal client is and what they actually want. Like
Mhm.
sometimes I can get advice on how to attract people, but it's not necessarily like that psychology and those things that people want. And so you really can shed light on that. And you really shed light on the aspects of tutoring that I think are really unique, like the
Mhm.
tutoring strategies and the tutoring tools. And so that aspect also beyond the marketing piece.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, you've given me a lot of clarity on where my specific ideal clients are. And I've seen you through the insiders group be able to give you like that specific eye for, the math tutors or the reading tutors and everything.
Mhm.
And I find that really valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, because in the beginning, I think there's a lot of business coaches, I think, that are out there that because they don't know anything about the industry, they tend to veer us in the wrong direction. I mean, they'll say some of that common that common stuff that you'll find online that I don't feel is true. Like, I do not agree with it. Like, people who are like, say how like, open up how many different areas of tutoring, like, do math tutoring, reading tutoring, SAT tutoring. Those people have never tutored, I'm just gonna say, because that takes a lot of lesson planning. If I can niche down and then I can figure out who my ideal client is, that makes my life a lot easier because then I start attracting them. That's who I'm working with, and I don't have to think about what I'm gonna help them with because they come to the session and I'm able to figure it out immediately what we're gonna be focusing on. I don't have to have like this pre-planned lesson plan that I had to really think out because I'm diving into all these different topics and it's driving me mad and crazy. And then I don't have a way to market. Like I can't really stand out as being anything different, right? And so there's a lot of bad advice I feel like online. Like if you go to look up like how do I start an online tutoring business, there's a lot of bad advice on there online. And I think people start just kind of following that advice and it's not working for them. And then they're like, well, what do I do now?
You mean those Google ads and Facebook ad marketing?
Oh my
Doesn't always
God,
work
yes.
really well. Because
Yes.
that was a common thing that I was always hearing was, about
Put ads on
create these
Facebook. Yeah,
Facebook
no.
ads like this and,
Oh, it's so simple. It's
Well,
so
and even
easy,
like
right? And no, it's
yeah,
not.
it's so easy, boost this and do that. And
Mm.
it even like that my guy that came and helped me with the from the Small Business Administration when I was first setting things up and getting my LLC and all that stuff. Good advice, awesome, helpful guy. But he told me I needed to get a business license in Mesa also. I'm in Gilbert, and it's like I don't think you have a clear picture in your mind of what I'm doing. I'm going to just ignore that piece of advice because I am not getting a business license in every town that every kid I tutor is in.
No. Oh my God, can you imagine? And
Yeah.
then worldwide and
Yeah. So
then
it's
all of
it's
that.
just an example of yeah, he's good. He had a lot of really good advice, but he didn't understand my specific industry enough to
Yes.
know that that was not good advice.
Yes.
But fortunately, I could see it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank goodness you could see it, but not everybody else does. Like I worked with a small business
Yeah.
administrator coach and they're free. It's a free program that you can go
Yeah.
to. And I started working with one of the guys and he was actually worked for a company as like the CEO, but he had never had his own business and he knew nothing about online. I'm like, we are not a match made in heaven because, like, my entire business is based on something that's online that you can't give me guidance on. And he's telling me that I have to have all of these, like, non compete clauses and all these different kinds of things in place. And I'm thinking, how does that stuff? I don't
How would
know.
you
I don't.
enforce it? How would you? Ugh. So I just had a bit of an epiphany. This actually applies to our clients too, because that was one of the things I had to learn early on. Not every tutor is the right tutor for every student,
Mm-hmm.
and not every student is the right student for me as a tutor. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to be willing to say, this might not be a good match there and
Yeah.
have some people in your network that you can refer them to. I think this tutor might serve your child better. But I think that's a really important thing to remember. When I was running my daycare, I always had to remind myself, I don't have to make everybody in Portland happy. I only have to find 6 families who like what I have to offer.
Yeah. That's it.
So
And really, that's kinda like what it is with our tutoring business in the beginning too, for those of us that,
there's only
just
a
wanna
much
be a
time on the
solo,
calendar.
right? I'm really only looking
Yeah.
for 20 or 30 families to work with, and that's
Mhm.
it. Like, it's not like this huge, outrageous number of students, so it's absolutely possible and doable, um, given the right guidance and following the right advice. So for somebody who is just starting out as a tutor and looking to build a successful tutoring business, what advice would you guys give them?
Get a mentor. Find a
Jumpstart.
coach.
I would say combine action with learning. Because
Yes.
for me, I can spend a lot of time in the learning, and I did before I came across your insider secrets group. And then there's also the people who are taking action, and it's the same action over and over and over again. And it's not necessarily the right action.
Mhm.
So I think having those two pieces combined well, however you can do that. For me, it is through the Insider Secrets group because I'm with all of those other tutors. and then also the coaching with you, but really being able to combine those two things is powerful, and I believe that's necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. I have loved being a part of it and being able to guide tutors and develop really strong friendships with the tutors inside of our community. And it's been absolutely incredible just to see each person's like business grow to where it is. Like, I mean, look at you guys. It's amazing. You
I mean,
guys are all an
if you think about it,
inspiration.
one of the things that I thought I would miss about teaching was the camaraderie with the other teachers at work.
Mm-hmm.
This replaces that and
Yeah.
actually takes it up on steroids a several notches. But it's like yeah.
I know, because we got rid of the gossip and all the crap, right? Like now it's like we could just focus on the goals,
And
the
who
good
ate the
stuff,
last donut?
the Oh, I love it. Any other advice you guys would give to someone who's just starting out?
Joanne, I would say go slow, create a plan, and be consistent.
Mhm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, and that's why we read the compounded
I would
codes inside of the Jumpstart group, right? So people can learn that it's over time. It's the right actions over time consistently that are going to get you the results that you're looking for.
Oh, there's one that I thought of just as we were all talking, and that is maintaining the vision too. Like I remember Kathy starting off in the group. So I've known Kathy quite a bit too. And I remember her starting off with that immediate kind of vision. I'm going to be a coach for Joanne. And now I see you and you have 27 tutors. Wow, Kathy, you have exploded. So
yeah, that's inspiring.
having that vision that you're working towards. I think that's really important starting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is.
Because it is possible. And that's the whole thing. Joanne makes you feel that you can do it, that you can make this as a full-time business. You don't
Yeah.
have to go back to school and deal with the negativity and all that. And I mean, I love the group because I mean, I have friends from the beginning that were still like helping each other, and it's like referring each other or just talking about what's going on and be able to bounce ideas off of. Because a lot of school was also, it was a compete. It wasn't a work together. But in working with online tutoring, like if it was a tutor that was in my community, yeah, you'd be kind of holding back. But online tutoring is worldwide. You don't have to worry about competing
No.
with anybody. And that's the nice thing. So it's not like you're holding back, like, well, I did this, but I'm going to not tell you about that because you're going to take my people.
Yeah. We still see that, I think, inside of the Jumpstart in the beginning when people start joining. They're really scared to share their information or their ideas or their thoughts sometimes because they think other people are going to steal their ideas. What they don't realize is that your ideas aren't actually as unique as you think they are, and people have already probably thought them. And they're probably not just going to steal your idea because it's hard enough to implement your own ideas than to like just start thinking about everybody else's ideas and start stealing them. Like I think there's still like I know when a lot of people join Jumpstart in the beginning, they're still kind of there's they're starting to morph out of that stage and realizing, oh wait, there are more enough ideas out there in the world for us to move forward on, and I don't have to worry about people stealing my ideas. Like I don't want to live in that kind of a fear or push people away because of that. That's it's all about collaboration, right? When you know collaboration, I always say this, trumps competition any day of the week. Because when you have collaboration, you're doing less work on your own. You're getting great ideas from people who care about sharing ideas, helping you, and, guiding you. And I think once people start receiving that, they're on the receiving end of that. They're like, oh, I do like the way that feels. Maybe I should be doing that more. And then they do it more and they're like, oh, I really like this. Like this is a better way. This you don't live in fear. You don't feel like you're doing this all alone. You feel supported. It's an amazing world, you guys. It really is where anything can
Two
happen.
more things. I have two more things I wanted to add to
Yeah.
that list. Number one is when you're setting your rates, don't forget about the intangibles. I have noticed recently I've had two clients step away for very good reasons that I could totally support them in, like, good blessings. That's a great opportunity you have there for your child. Go for it. And I didn't have to feel like, oh, if I lose them, my bottom line is going to get a ding and I'm not going to be making what I need to make. And so my rates are set at a place where I've got cushion and I've
Yeah.
got enough that I don't have to stress when someone steps away, because I know someone else will be coming in very soon. And also, number two, don't forget to take care of your health. Because
Yes.
I was in the hospital last May for 3 days, well, 2 days, because they thought I was having a TIA. And I was in a coaching situation at that point. And she was like, okay, you got to stop. You got to slow down. You got to. And so you really need to pay attention to, it's a stressful thing starting a business. And
Yeah.
you got to not let that health piece slide off of the table. You got to keep it there and pay attention to it.
Yeah. Especially since we are very much sitting in front of a computer all day long.
You sit all day. Yeah. And
So
so I
you
think
have to make
that's
different
one thing that
choices.
people, I think it's a thing that people can ignore really easily.
Mhm.
And we need to not be doing that, because I can't number the amount of people I've talked to that have said, oh yeah, I had a health crisis within the first year when I started. It's like,
Mm, yeah.
So
And
I can attest to that because literally 2 weeks ago, I had a mild heart attack. And then
gosh,
from the heart catheterization, I ended up having a stroke
mm,
also. So, yep, I
yeah,
could definitely, you got to pay
that has
attention.
to be a piece of what you pay attention to as you're starting a
yes.
business.
Yes.
What was really nice though is my business kept going. Even though I was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks, my business kept going. And
Nice.
I did not, it was only two students, and I had one of my tutors take over for them. So it was like, there was, it was seamless.
Yeah.
It's
It's
beautiful.
really
Yeah.
nice.
That's
Really.
amazing. Oh my gosh, you guys. And I think, that is one of the fears that people have is like, what if something happens to me and I can't work or something like that? The goal would be to build your business to the point where you do have these other revenue income streams. Like you've got these other income streams coming from the other tutors and they can take on your students and all of those beautiful things can happen. So if anything were to happen, you're in a safe place. And also, I would say in the beginning, you guys, like understand when it comes to taxes, if you're just getting started out, you do have to pay quarterly taxes if you're here in the United States. And don't think that you can get away from that because you cannot. And people think you just think that you have to pay taxes at the end of the year. Mm-mm. They are going to tax you on the taxes that you didn't pay. You're going to have to pay back taxes on those taxes. So it's, knowing the laws is going to be really, really pivotal and important. How do you guys stay up to date on industry trends, best practices, um, all that kind of stuff? How do you guys stay up on top of it?
Joanne's YouTube.
I was thinking the same thing, but I wasn't going to say it because I've been talking too much.
I follow certain things. I find LinkedIn really, really useful for a lot of the trends that are coming out, and then also a lot of like online teaching and tech and things like that.
Mhm.
I also follow the TESOL blog. That's the blog by the World Organization teaching English to speakers of other languages. Things like that really help me to kind of follow things in my practice. And the most recent blog was about teaching with Chat GPT and ESL students. I was like, oh, this is what Joanne is talking about. And then that third thing really is the Insider Secrets group, because of the connections, and then also because of the mini courses. Like we have a course focusing on a different aspect every month.
Mhm.
So I think like a combination of those things is really, really helpful for me.
Yeah. Well, I already love staying up on tech, so, it's happening, it's
Yeah.
happening, like, because I geek out over it, so I'm like, "Oh," like, as soon as Foundations came out with their Foundations A to Z, I was like, "Alright, let me check that baby out." They have a new one too, it's called Writing Foundations, I'm gonna be checking that out very, very soon, and giving feedback on that specific program, um but yeah, it's so fun just to see, like, where technology is going, and when I first started this
Yeah.
business, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you know what's gonna happen? Like, we're gonna have, like, beam me up Scotty, like, kind of sessions where, like, the tutors are, like, literally, like, in the same, like, room with people and, like, but they're in a different, like, country. Do you know what I mean? Like, how cool I don't know if that would be creepy or if that would be cool, but I'm like, I can see, like, tutoring going there or, like, the virtual reality tutoring where, like, both you and the child are, like, sitting there and you're able to, like, just do all the tutoring with them right there in the virtual room, like, just so many cool things, and then something like, Koala comes on up, which is so cool, right? That brought that all together, and I can just see, like, those kinds of things, like, growing even more, which just excites me to no end that we're gonna be able to meet these kids' needs because they get excited too with this technology, guys. Like, they love it. They absolutely love it, and to see all the different things that it can do and stuff, so yeah, any other ways that you guys stay on top of, industry trends or best practices or technology or any of that kind of stuff?
I have my 2 Google for Educators certifications, so I'm still getting information from Google all the time on classes that I can take, and sometimes I do those. I also I think it's next week. I'm attending a math summit. It's a virtual math summit, just to stay up to date on some of those trends. I follow certain people on YouTube. Um, some of them are ex-teachers who are kind of experts in like lesson planning, but then they'll give me little ideas for things that I can use in my virtual classroom that I run for my students. So those are kind of the ways that I stay up to date. But I'm an information seeker. So if I've got an
Yes.
idea, I just get online and I will find a video, a blog, an expert. I'll reach out to them, say, "Hey, I'd like to chat with you about this," and I haven't been told yet no yet. So, people are happy to share their ideas.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it is so cool. Like there are different like conferences that we can go to stay on top of all of this stuff. That's why I have Impact each year, 2 times a year. And I have a bonus one coming on up with, like I mentioned, that is all on 50 ways that you can make money as an online tutor. That is going to be it's going to blow your mind away just on how incredible it's going to be. So yeah, definitely attending those types of summits to stay on top of it and get to see who is in the online tutoring world, getting to network with other people because even other people that you just like other tutors, they're trying other things out too. So the more conversations you have with other tutors, the more that you're learning. They're like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" Like I remember I heard about Clubhouse from Kathy. We are just sitting in the pool one day at a conference in Florida in Orlando, and she's like, "Hey, have you heard this new thing, Clubhouse? It's all the rage." I'm like, "No, what's Clubhouse?" And I was like totally aloof because I'm always aloof, like when I'm like don't know about something, and I'm just like, "No, I've not heard about it." And then I just started getting curious and got curiouser. I was like Alice in Wonderland, curiouser and curiouser. And I went down the whole rabbit hole and I was like, oh, well, this could be used for this and it could be used for this. And then I wrote a book about it. And then oh, you guys, we have such an amazing community. So if you guys are watching this, thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for watching it. And thank you, ladies, every single one of you guys for sharing all of your thoughts about business coaching because business coaching really can help you with being able to take your business to the next level, stay on top of what's working, what's not working, and get the results inside of your business much faster than if you try to go it alone. So thanks for joining us, you guys, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.